if you really belong to this land.
Palanica, Pazata Hata.
Your choice is to endanger yourself by helping.
What's the alternative? Sit at home and not help? The whole America First thing is ridiculous. It's your responsibility to help. I wish I could do more. There's people who actively follow Ukrainian volunteers and try to get them hurt. I've had direct threats just for helping people out. They'll get punished severely. If you post the wrong thing or too much information, somebody you care about could get hurt. Yeah.
Whose war is it then?
The US gave billions. Russia has always said one thing, done another thing. They want to take over the entire European continent. We are fighting ourselves. I previously worked in Afghanistan. I didn't have gray hairs until the funding issues.
Друзі, ви на каналі «Хвилює». Програма про те, що непокоїть українців сьогодні найбільше. Сьогодні наші гості – іноземці, які колись зробили вибір не поїхати, залишитися або приїхати в Україну вперше. Johnny, thank you for participating in the project, having time to meet with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You've been in Ukraine for quite a bit by now. You're well known in volunteering circles. But I have a couple of questions to you, more of a quiz to check if you really belong to this land.
Okay.
You ready for that?
I hope so.
Just about you making choices.
Okay.
Позата хата or McDonald's?
Pazata Hata for sure.
Борщ or солянка?
Borscht.
Took you a while.
Well, I was trying to figure out what, and then borscht.
Borscht, okay.
Red borscht.
Cool. Left bank or Harlem?
What was the first one?
Left bank in Kiev.
Oh, left bank or what?
Harlem in New York.
That's tough. Right bank.
What?
Right bank.
No, not an option.
Oh, the jungle.
You just had two choices.
Okay.
Left bank or Harlem?
Harlem.
Okay. Palanica or bagel?
Palanica.
Great stuff. Verka Serduchka or drag queens?
Serduchka?
Do you know Serduchka?
No.
You just speak whatever is Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayo or sour cream?
Smetana?
Kharkiv or Kiev?
Kiev.
For life.
To
like
live?
for live. Yeah, to live.
Oh yeah, Kiev.
Kiev? Why is that?
I don't know. There's just something magical about Kiev. I went here one time on vacation and I was like, oh, this is home. I love this place. So it's like a mixture of like the history, the people, the food, and just like some energy about Kiev that's just very familiar and welcoming, and I don't know. I love it.
It's familiar.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. It just feels like home.
And you were born in which state, remind me?
Texas, but I was a military brat, so I moved around every 2 years, all sorts of different states, and in Japan, Germany, all over the place. So.
But which home exactly? Like, does it resemble you? Yeah, had a lot of homes.
Oh, well, so I'm not really from anywhere, so I don't have like a home per se. So it's hard to explain, but it feels like I belong. You know, like I felt that way kind of in Japan a little bit, and then here, and then I guess in Tennessee, in North Carolina. But it's just all around just vibe of like belonging.
Belonging.
Yeah.
Do you have monobank?
Ukrasi Bank.
Ukrasi Bank.
Yeah.
Have you heard about monobank?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you get it?
I could.
Yeah.
Monobank.
Yeah. It's one of the attributes of like a person who really belongs to Ukraine, you got to have money bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
you got to get it.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's just like it's the most convenient bank in Ukraine today, like for transactions and stuff. And one question that I wanted to ask yesterday when I saw your social media post was that, like, you're young, healthy, your motherland is in peace, relative peace, and just yesterday your social media post featured you being in Pokrovsk, which is one of the hottest points in Ukraine. People are being evacuated. Yet you're driving the car in there while you had a choice to get a plane and just chill on Miami Beach. Why? Why?
I wish I could do more. And also, so it was an unusual post yesterday. I rarely post my locations because of information security, operation security. There's people who actively follow Ukrainian volunteers and try to get them hurt. And I've had direct threats just for helping people out.
Excuse me, but death threats.
Yeah, direct death threats to.
Do you know from whom?
Russian people.
Just regular people, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not. People really want to hurt any Western volunteer to make an example out of us, so then it would scare away other people, I think. And then also the people I care about, the people I work with, if I help them and they have like an American flag, for instance, like a Ukrainian, and then that town gets overrun and then they find a person with that flag, they'll get punished severely. So I've had instances where we would help people and then it was reported that they got
shelled.
Well, the front line went past the towns that we were supporting, and then those people got hurt because they had supplies with like English writing on it and flags, U.S. flags. So we stopped giving out flags with our supplies. But yeah, so if yesterday was unusual because I just wanted to say, like, okay, it's Independence Day, and I'm here helping out some people I care about, some people who are doing the job to help defend the area, and then also the people leaving. And I don't know, it's really difficult to choose what to post, when to post it, because if you post the wrong thing or too much information, somebody you care about could get hurt. And I think just generally saying, like, I'm in Donetsk area helping these people in this time, it was kind of a decision to, it's vague enough that nobody will get targeted or anything. So, and it's to show that, we're out here helping. So
I guess in general, the question that I want to ask is more about you being from a country that's in peace. You have a choice to live in a country that's peace, but your choice is to endanger yourself by helping. What is the source of this choice? Like, what makes you go out there and do this?
I was always taught to, I don't know, if somebody needs something, then, and you can help them, then it's your responsibility to help. And I was in a really comfortable position. I saved a good amount of money. I had a house, or I have a house in America. And my friends, they needed some help. So I just came here and then started trying to figure out what needs done, who needs help, what's being donated, where it's being donated, and trying to connect people with with stuff to help. It's really, I don't see an option, like 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 what's the alternative? Sit at home and not help? Like I
A
was
lot of people make this choice, majority.
I couldn't personally sit at home and not do anything while people I know and care about are, getting everything they have taken away. So,
You had friends here
yeah,
prior to the full-scale invasion?
yes. And yeah, so, and also just like walking around Kiev and just seeing all the beautiful families and just the way people were, you know, I remember their faces. I have pictures of me in Kiev, and then there's like babies and families, and like I felt like they shouldn't have to do the work. Like some other people, some guys could go help defend and do this work while the families are in safety. So um, I don't know. It's not really a choice though. It's like, and it's also some people have said, you haven't said it today, but some people have said like, "Oh, you're brave to go into danger." And this, I don't think that at all. I'm scared every single time we go there, and it's just I care more about the people than I do that. Then I'm scared, or like the caring outweighs the
The fear.
fear. So I don't know.
There were a lot of people in the States, like it wasn't like this like 3 years ago, at the beginning of the invasion. Nowadays, more and more often, I hear people saying something like, "This is not our war."
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose war is it then?
Well, for my country in America, the whole America First thing is uh, ridiculous because uh, this. So there's a lot of different ways to think about that. Economically is a big. There's a big component that a lot of people tack on to this whole thing. Economically, the US gave billions, 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 and then people think there's these massive bags of cash that are just shipped over here and they hand out bundles of money, and
Yeah.
it's not like that. So the lion's share is a piece of equipment. That piece of equipment was already created by US congressional funding a long time ago, and it's sitting on a shelf. They have expiration dates. The missiles, explosives, they have an expiration date because the actual chemicals, they deteriorate. And then if it's not reliable, you don't want your explosives to be not reliable. They have to be every time reliable. So that's why the expiration dates exist on the explosives. So they were nearing expiration date anyways. So we would have either had to blow in place, like pile it up, detonate them, or use them in training, or use them, or give them away anyways. So that's most of the funding that Ukraine has received. And then that allows U.S. manufacturers 90% of the money to stay in America to create production jobs. So there's something like 6,000 U.S. jobs created in, I want to say, Alabama, where they create artillery shells alone. So there's these major jobs being created that are long-term positions by this, so that economic distress that Ukraine is that's a false narrative. And then if also, if there was a invasion on a larger scale, there'd be more refugees. So then the entire world would have, so currently there's like 6 million refugees.
Mhm.
And so quadruple that number, and then we would have another major economic problem for Europe and the United States and other countries. And it is our problem. It's going to be our problem. Russia has always said one thing, done another thing. They're always lying about what they're going to do, misrepresenting their intentions, and they just want to control all of Europe. On RT TV, it's always like to Berlin. Their chants is they want to take over the entire European continent. Like it's not, it's obvious. Like it will be our problem at some point. So,
but see, you know that, and I do relate to what you're saying. 100% agree. But then, what keeps the majority of the population? Well, this over 50% as of today, not getting that, and maybe about to make a wrong choice on the election.
Information warfare is a major problem. People having access to information, being able to critically analyze the source of information, and then also having state-funded large campaigns that are disinformation campaigns. There's bot farms. They're paid for by the government of certain countries like Russia, Iran, and it's a person in an apartment with hundreds of phones connected to one computer where they have lots and lots of different social media accounts, and then they use bits of truth. So if there's a little bit of truth, or there's something that could maybe seem accurate, then they'll create some information like that and post about it. Then it's designed to get people angry at each other. Like it's extremely cost effective, and it's very, very effective at making America, for instance, fight itself. We are fighting ourselves because other people are creating narratives that help fuel the fire. So when you engage with stuff online and you're just so angry, you're just on your phone and you're showing to your friends, look at this. More often than not, it originated from somebody who wants to make you angry for some financial gain or some kind of a purpose like that. So I think that's a major problem, and I think that's the root cause of the lack of understanding about our situation as Americans specifically. So
Platforms, it's a very familiar tool. Russia used bot farms on Ukraine prior to the invasion. So you run the organization, volunteering charity NGO called Ukrainian Relief Fund. Looking at the website, I found a quote that I like to quote you on and ask a question. As veterans, we signed up for the wounds we have. These people just wanted to live their lives. You're a veteran yourself?
Yes.
Do you feel sometimes like war just won't let you go?
Yeah. People have commented about that. I previously worked in Afghanistan as well. And there's a lot of veterans here that were American veterans, or there's also from a lot of other nations like Colombia veterans. And so that is part of it for sure. It's kind of a difficult thing to confront because, you don't want to seem like some kind of a, I don't know, psycho adrenaline person that's chasing this thing, but it is kind of an addicting thing to be near this thing. So there's this major adrenaline surge when there's incoming fire.
Yeah.
It is scary, and then your autonomic nervous system goes into fight or flight, and then if you cycle through that a bunch of times, when it's calm, it feels like you want, I don't know, it's too calm, and you get really anxious. But yeah, I think that definitely is a part of it for some of the people here, and if it's ever too calm, it will be a problem. And I think one way to get ahead of that is to have some form of adrenaline sport or something readily available for like the veterans and people here, because if you don't replace this adrenaline in a healthy way, some people will turn to like substance abuse and other things. So acknowledging that it could be an issue and then getting ahead of that is going to be necessary for the future for a lot of people.
Most of your donations are from the West, from the United States?
Yes, I would say almost all of them are from the West, from U.S.
Looking at other NGOs, also at your NGO, the means to raise the funds is also telling a story. You got to be reporting on the story and showing what the reality is for people to relate and to donate, be willing to donate. And you, as a veteran, you have seen the war, and you know what is left after the tanks and what's normally left after soldiers invading your place. And I feel like, as a Ukrainian living in Ukraine, when I go abroad, I feel like there's always a wall between the people who've seen the war, or even just as a civilian, and people who, been always drinking Starbucks coffees in the morning and never seen the war. I hope they never see the war, but you are a pro fundraiser. Like, I mean, you run this organization. How do you tell your story?
So there's two parts there. One part is the fundraising and storytelling. The other part is the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They're two really good points. The first one, the fundraising thing, it's so difficult, and you don't know what to do. So you have yourself and your colleagues out there doing whatever you can. You find your niche, you do water, you do medical equipment, you do whatever, try to respond to requests. And then initially, most people use their personal savings. I did initially use all personal savings before I got any donations. And then, so while you're coordinating, while you're messaging people, you're driving thousands of kilometers, you're navigating a constantly changing front line, and all of these things that could kill you, trying to plan around that. Then you're also trying to do a full-time job of like journalist and social media person, and you have to learn about like angles and lighting and make sure you clean your camera lens, and then also audio issues, battery problems. Oh, and the phone. So the phone is your communications tool, your navigation tool, and then it's also you need it to record what you're doing.
Yeah.
If your battery dies,
You're done.
That's
Yeah.
that's it. So we have a backup of a backup of a backup though. So I had just a Google Maps image printed on a piece of paper with where my area of operation is, and then so I would print that out, mark specific roads and where I needed to go, and then have check-in time. So if it's like, oh, if I'm not checked in by this time, then
Something happened.
yeah, send the police. I don't know. But yeah, so but yeah, it is a major challenge to sit there, think, like, have forward thinking about a remote you're trying to shoot, and and then react to all of these one-off situations. So it's like, if you're doing a remote in filmmaking, it means go from your studio out into the world, and then have your film crew there, and do a whole production thing. But then they have an idea of what they're going to do. So when you're out there, then like a jet comes out or a missile comes in or something happens, you have to kind of think about, like, am I going to die? Okay, I'm not dying. Does somebody else need help or what? And then while you're doing that, you have to pull your phone out and then try to record it while you're doing other things. So, because if you don't do that, then nobody cares. They're like, oh, I didn't see a video of this, so you must not be doing anything, or whatever. And if you're fortunate enough to have something happen, like, I don't know, get incoming mortar or something on video, then you get 1 million views, and then you get donations or so. So
Yeah.
it was this thing where one of the volunteers hit a landmine, and he had a GoPro, and then his steering went out, and then he put together this collage of his work, and then it was really good stuff, and he does a great job. But he was one of a lot of people who are doing the similar thing, and because he had the GoPro on and he loaded it, then he's getting all the donations. So it's this weird ecosystem of likes, clicks, shares, and then those translates to real world dollars.
Yeah.
Those translate to actual dollars coming into your operation. So then that pushed some people to go too far, and then I think that resulted in a couple of deaths of volunteers. But it's a challenge for sure to split the line between what you can do and sometimes. Actually, I just put the phone down and kept doing my work for a while. I stopped recording, and I wasn't getting donations. So I was like, whatever, I'll just do this work and try to help. And I've just recently started uploading and stuff.
Yeah.
On
your website, your donations have names. So there you have like standard donations. And so $1 is Slava Ukraini, $2 is Glory to the Heroes, $10 is for the cause. And then when it's a random amount, it has no name. If you were to donate, what name would have you put to that? To what you would dedicate the donation?
That's a good question. If I was to donate just a random amount,
No matter how much, the name.
I don't know.
Maybe there's someone you dedicate that to.
Oh yeah, maybe the Jeff, for Jeff. He's a volunteer. I met him in Tennessee, and I helped him get over here, Jeff Judd. And he was KIA, and he's American from Tennessee. So just was it Jeff?
Jeff?
It's
Jeff.
For Jeff.
Yeah, for Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff in the end.
Jeff. So.
What happened to Jeff?
He was out on operation and some incoming destroyed the building he was in, and it's basically
he's gone.
Yeah. So, he's one of many, and he knew exactly the risks, and I'm certain he just would be upset that he's missing out on doing more work. So
when was that?
It's one of those things that you kind of, you put in your pocket and don't think about it too much. So it's been a while. It's been a while ago. I'd have to.
In the end, I want to ask a question. Imagine a perfect world. There are no wars. Nowhere. I know it's impossible. No wars. What would you be doing?
Oh, what would I be doing?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well.
No wars. No armies.
I don't know. Just play piano somewhere or something.
Do you play piano?
A little. Nothing. I just like to do it. It doesn't sound good. Yeah. It doesn't sound good at all, but it's really fun.
So you'd be doing piano?
Yeah, if there was no wars, I'm pretty sure I could get pretty good at it.
Yeah. Good stuff. And the very last question that I always ask our guests, because the name of the project is Хвилює. In Ukrainian, хвилює means to worry or to bother. When something bothers you, it says like, it хвилюєs me. So one question I ask, a part of the war, what bothers you or what worries you every day? What do you think about?
I know personally of thousands of requests for things, and what worries me is if I was in charge of the money, I would fulfill every single request. But I am limited by funding, and like I didn't have gray hairs until the funding issues. And the reasonable stuff like a frontline casualty stabilization center needed a remote, like a mobile X-ray machine, $60,000, quite a big chunk of money. But that's one of thousands of requests, and that keeps me up at night. That is something that really bugs me. Knowing personally the faces and the people that ask for things, and I can't help them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a great chat. I appreciate your work. As a Ukrainian, I'm personally grateful. I'm personally grateful for what you do, and I wish I could see that in some people of my own nation, that dedication and that willingness to help and understanding what's going on. Thank you, John.
Thank you.